Well, hello guys, welcome back. Sorry I wasn't on today. The universe, God, whomever you like to say, knocked me on my ass. This always happens when I'm going into soul searching. Instead of just being able to sit down like a rational human being and think it out and work it out, I really need knocked on my ass. I'm no longer in my 20s, and even though I'm certainly not old, Um, you can't go from being sedate all winter to suddenly running up and down hills, carrying weights on your back and not suffer for it. I've like wrenched this out of alignment all the way down my back, and it's just lovely. It feels great. It could have been from that, it could have been from moving heavy stuff, and knows what it was from. But it knocked me on my ass. So I've been doing that, and I had wanted to go back and get this. Now prepare yourself, because this isn't pagan or heathen. I wanted to go back and get this. I gave my friend my copy because I was uncomfortable with some of the stuff in it, and I thought something in the universe, Loki, God, whatever, is saying, hey, go back, get this book, look at this book. It's cold today compared to what it's been, so I actually have my heat on and my space heater on. And I'm cooking up the rest of the pork and I'm making some biscuits, so I'm gonna kind of make a nice kind of stay-at-home day out of it. And we've been having, I know it's a lot to unpack, we've been having our own Rose Festival, which we probably won't talk about because we're going to get into other stuff, but it's been lovely. It's not an official holiday. Somehow some strange events have been happening. And it's like somebody is jumping up and down and trying to get my attention. And if you're eclectic, you're like, wow, that's a lot of possibilities. Who could it possibly be? It could be anybody. It could be anybody. It could be God, as most people mean God when they say God, because, I grew up Catholic. It could be Jesus. I don't know. But somebody's been jumping up and down trying to get my attention, and it doesn't feel like Loki's usual style. Though it could be Loki, it could be Odin, gods only know. I just know that it's been somebody trying to get my attention, and they got my ass put in a chair because I got injured. So I now know I have a lot of time to work through a lot of stuff I've been trying to work through. And today, Frigga of all the goddesses showed up, and she wanted her stuff put into the first hall. And I think she did it on purpose because I think, like all mother goddesses, she knows all those buttons to push. And she went doot doot doot, and she pushed the right buttons, and I just exploded. Not on her. I'm not dumb or suicidal, but on feeling like I had a lack of control and all this other stuff that just came up, and I was raging, and I hate this temple and everything else. And yes, I was back in VR, but for a limited time with all the gods watching me like a hawk. And I said, do you know how many times I've built this temple and rebuilt this temple and everything else? I'd actually changed the first hall that I landed to Loki's temple because I was just, frankly, 1 second, please, my dears. Okay, sorry about that. Where was I? Now I lost track because I'm always doing everything at once, and I'm fighting with the damn pork, getting it out, and putting the muffins in. Excitement. But basically, since I know I lost that track of whatever the hell I was saying, basically, for the last couple of years, to find my own truths, I've been looking at everyone else's, which is great if you want to know what everyone else's truth is. But it's not great if you want to know your own truth. And I think Frigga pushed my buttons today because she was like, okay, we've been trying to do this the nice way. Gods know we've been trying to do this the loving way, but you seem to think it's a trap, which is understandable because I grew up Catholic. So it makes you kind of cagey. And she's like, okay. I'm going to push your buttons. I'm going to deliberately act as though I'm disrespecting you, which she wasn't, but she knew how to push my buttons. And she wanted me to claim my own territory. And to say, hey, that first hall should have something at least to make me comfortable in it. And I'm tired of all I do in VR is take care of you gods, and I tend to your needs, and da-da-da. And I'm running 12 temples, and Loki got it in full stereo. And he started to smile. And I thought either I'm really in trouble and Odin's behind me ready to kill me, or something's going on. And between that and the Rose Festival and the strange events that have been going on, and birds have just been coming out of nowhere, it's been kind of slightly spooky because that's how many a horror movies start. But it's been a thing of, they wanted me to find my own truth. which I've told you guys repeatedly, don't try to live my truth, live your own. Don't look at what I say and experience with Loki and think that either I'm lying to you or making it up, or you're wrong because you're not doing the same thing. We all have highly individualistic experiences with Loki. Case in point, not too many of you can go back so many generations. I think it's 3 or 4, and have a grandfather, so many greats back, that was adopted out of a Jewish orphanage in Italy. Probably nobody else watching ever had that experience, but I did in Mazel Tov. So I could be a Jew. So, on top of everything else, I could have been Jewish, and I've always been, attracted to Jewish mysticism. And you remember, I grew up Catholic, so you have that kind of Jewish mysticism that's already in the religion, because remember, Christians didn't spring out of nowhere. The Jewish people were here before that, and before them there were other people, and so forth and so on. And I've just been looking at that, and I've been looking at how I was raised, and I've been looking at the fact that the church never did me any good. But whoever God was fine. And whoever Jesus was fine, but they seem to have absolutely nothing to do with their religion. Same thing with the angels and saints. I would be being told one thing in church, and I would, go home, because they never seem to be there at the church, and have a totally different experience. And I realized religion doesn't do me any good, which is why I'm never going to be a heathen or a pagan. Well, I'm a pagan, but I'm never going to be heathen or esoteric, because I can't fit into one little tiny mold. I will slowly wilt and die. It's kind of akin to, as we've been doing this rose festival, and I'm gathering all these rose petals, and the house smells lovely, and it looks beautiful, and there's all these, bowls and everything of these beautiful pink rose petals. Well, these are not some kind of fancy rose bred to look beautiful when they dry. They're a natural, old-fashioned, wild type of rose. Kind of wild, kind of cultivar. And when they dry, they go from this lovely pink color to this shriveled brown color. Now, you can find really expensive stuff to preserve them with, but if you're going to let them dry naturally to use magically or whatever, or to use in potpourri, they're going to turn brown. And you could pick 1,000,000 of these roses and dry them in the sun, or in your oven, or air dry, or whatever kind of magical thing you found to do with them. And they would all turn the same color. It's just what naturally happens to them. And what's naturally happened to me is I've just had to take the roughest road possible, because that's in my nature. I always whine and cry to you guys. I wish it was simple, and yet when the gods have been trying to hand me the simple answer, I won't take it, because I'm damn stubborn German, that's why. And it just occurred to me, I was laid up to kind of go back through this book, and this is only going to make sense to me because of my own individual past, to go through this book and to pick out what I can. And I realized I'm seeing, like, almost, as a pagan, I'm seeing references to every pagan god in existence, which is probably not what the nice Christian writer meant, but I'm seeing it. And I realized, as I have read a lot of the As a True stories, like, my YouTube was out for 3 hours yesterday, guys. I swear it to the gods, it was out for 3 hours. You can check that out on Patreon. I was reading a lot of the As a True stories, and I realized that this is really far from how I see a lot of the gods. And I think the problem is, at least for someone like me, is that it's no good for me going around finding everybody else's truth. I have to find my own. One of the blessings of being older was that as I was a young child, or as a young lady, you didn't have the internet. We didn't have podcasts. We didn't have radio shows. Not where I lived. You had, if you were lucky, maybe 1 or 2 mystical, magical books at the bookstore far away, and that was it. So if you got in a relationship with a god or goddess, there was nobody standing around to tell you you were wrong. There might be a book that would disagree with you, but who cares what the book said? The person wrote it to get money, big deal. Now 5 million people can disagree with you, and they can all tell you to your face. And that's more problematic, but you just have to learn to change and adapt. And to someone my age, sometimes that change is a little rough. And it's just kind of a long-winded, fancy way to say that, look, he's been leading me through a lot of stuff and leading me through healing. I knew I got the injury. I knew everything else confluenced together because I had to go through something. All these signs I've been getting have been like, be ready for massive change. It's coming for you. You. And we've been doing that thing again about what if I go through this change and I come out like this and I lose all the watchers. And I'm like, you know what? I can't worry about that because, like I said, I love all you guys to pieces, but none of you are going to be standing in front of God or Loki or the man in the moon when I die and being, a witness for me and saying, oh, well, it's not her fault because she had to run a channel, so you understand how she had to go. And I think what kind of pushed me over the edge is when we had an Norse channel, I noticed the kind of people I was starting to attract. It's strange. There's something about just having Nordic energy that attracts a certain brand of people. I'm not addressing the good people, but you attract a certain unsavory element. And I'm like, that's all the excuse I need to go off and explore, and I will and do as I will because I'm pretty chaotic, as you guys have noticed. So we're going to be doing that, and I'm watching my time so I don't burn my bread. But yeah, I'm sorry if that rambling, doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm going to read this book through. I think I know where I'm going to end up. I've already actually ended up there, but it's my brain and intellect have to kind of catch up with that. So that made sense to the people that watch this channel for a couple years. The rest of you are probably like, what kind of drugs does she do? But if you like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.